You may not associate ideas of the dead with ancient Greece. It is likely that ancient Egypt or Mesoamerica come to your mind first. And how can they not? They have been popularized in history for hundreds of years due to how much they valued their dead. However, in many ways, the same goes for ancient Greece, and by taking a closer look at the art and structures made for the dead, one can develop a deeper understanding of Greek society. Today, we will take a closer look at the Greeks' evolution through their memorialization of the dead, illustrating the profound impact the dead have on societies across the world. Thanks so much for joining us today, Beneath the Grove. The Greek Empire reigned from 1200 BCE to 146 BCE, beginning with the Mycenaean period and ending with the Roman conquest of Hellenistic Greece, the basis of what would later become the Roman Empire. The cultures are highly intermixed, and due to the eventual size of the empire, the transformations of mythology, tradition, and art are illustrated throughout time. One of the reasons for the Italian Renaissance was the excavation of Hellenistic Greek statues, ones that would inspire the Romans and then the Italians in the modern world. It is evident that Greek art has served as a blueprint for the cultures following. Of course, in its 100 years of power, it evolved itself. Beginning in what became known as the geometric period of Greece, the Diplon crater was the common commemorative art piece. The crater was typically used to mark graves and honor the dead. This can be viewed with depictions of people mourning. The geometrically constructed figures are shown around the dead body, pulling out their hair as a practice of mourning for others, in a way, commemorating the deep grief of those still living. The chariots and horses outline the heroicness of the deceased person to memorialize their strength, a characteristic highly valued in Greek society. The Greeks evolved from their use of the crater as commemorative art to the anavisos kouros. The kouros functioned as a memorial and grave marker to the deceased, as well as a gift to the gods. The Greeks operated under a polytheistic society and followed the gods that would later be followed by the Romans. Compared to the geometric period, his body is depicted in a more realistic fashion. The kouros are described in Edward Stewart's essay, Three Attic Ideologies. He explains the kouros were used as grave markers or votive offerings, but typically, if they were used as grave markers to memorialize the dead, they were supposed to explain perfection being lost too soon, in premature death or battle. Through the male nude, we can detect the transience of human perfection, being memorialized for eternity. His body is very static, similar to the body language in statues being produced in Egypt during the Old Kingdom, as you can see here in a depiction of Pharaoh Menkaure and his queen, a statue which would be used in the temple connected to the couple's mausoleum. Both bodies exhibit a static and upright nature, with straight limbs held next to their bodies. The memorialization of women also occurred in Greece. This is evident in the Stela of Hegeso, or Athenian grave stelae. Produced in the Golden Age of Greece, the stele allows us to view the development of the memorialization of the dead, but also the social changes of women in society. The stele shows the deceased woman sitting with a maid presenting her a jewelry box. These women are visually linked to their objects and tasks of everyday life. Women had a rising importance since Pericles, father of Alexander the Great, and a respected leader and general of the Peloponnesian War, altered the rules of citizenship. As we continue, we must speak on Alexander the Great, whose death marks an end to the classical and beginning of Hellenistic periods in ancient Greece. The portraits of Alexander the Great are excellent examples of the shifting visual culture in Greece as they stretched their empire and influence. Alexander the Great was memorialized through sculptural techniques, externalizing his fierce and imperial characteristics. The externalization of this iconic figure is done through his godlike demeanor. The portraits of Alexander the Great are token examples of Hellenistic portraiture. Through Alexander's portraits, we are able to recognize him through his leonine appearance, specifically in his hair. His charisma and persona are recognizable through iconographic cues that relate him to the gods, a characteristic that will last through the Empire of Rome into the Byzantine Empire. The portraits also deliver a theatrical performance, which connects it back to the Hellenistic period, as he is dramatized through his mane of hair and dramatic facial expressions. This is a large shift from the chorus of the previous era, which depicted the death of the heroic male in a static stance. Now, the depictions of heroism and youth are full of movement and defining characteristics. The art is translating the growth and power of the empire, highlighting the importance of military strength and willing sacrifice being made for the wealth of the empire, which by the Hellenistic period stretched into Asia. Death in Greece was related to the gods as well as the power of the empire, connecting with youth and the changing social climate as a more centralized form of governing developed through the classical and into the Hellenistic period. The influence of the Greeks' memorialization of the dead and Hellenistic art would continue persisting through Roman society and into the modern world. This concludes the video. If you are interested in history, art, mythology, and occultism, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok, posting daily videos on tarot and more. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time, here beneath the grove.